Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski from joyofbaking.com. Today we're going to make Snickerdoodles, or maybe you know them as Snipdoodles. First, preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, that's about 190 degrees Celsius, and line 2 baking sheets with either parchment paper, or you could butter or spray them with a non-stick vegetable spray. And then we're going to mix together the dry ingredients first. You will need 2 3/4 cups of white all-purpose flour, that's about 360 grams. And to that, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to whisk all that together because you want to get the baking powder incorporated into the flour. That's done. So then you can use a stand mixer like this with a paddle attachment, or you can just use an electric hand mixer in a large bowl. I'm going to put 2 sticks, or 1 cup, 226 grams of butter. I like to use unsalted because I like the flavor, plus I like to control the salt. But you could use salted butter, and make sure it's at room temperature. And then I'm just going to beat that until it's smooth. Scrape down the sides. Okay, and now I'm going to add 1 1/2 cups, that's 300 grams of granulated white sugar to that. Now this is a lot like just a regular sugar cookie. In fact, they're also called cinnamon sugar cookies. So I'm just going to beat that until it's creamy and smooth, a couple minutes. Okay. Scrape down sides. Okay. Next, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Try to use a pure because it's a lot better flavor than the imitation ones. And I'm going to add 2 large eggs, 1 at a time. I'm going to beat 1 in and then the other one. And the last thing we're going to do is add the flour. And then just beat that until the batter comes together. Okay, and we're done. As you can see, that's a pretty easy batter to make. Now, if this was really soft, once you've done it, you can just put this in the refrigerator for an hour or 2 or until firm. But it seems to be quite firm, so I think we can use it right away. Now, we're going to roll this into small, about 1-inch balls. It's about 2.5 centimeter ball, and then we're going to roll it in. What I have here is 1/3 cup of granulated white sugar, that's about 65 grams, and 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and I'm just going to whisk that together. So we're going to first roll the batter into balls, and then we're going to roll it in the cinnamon sugar. This gives a nice coating to the cookie. Okay, so I'm going to eyeball this to about a 1 inch. It's not critical. And then just roll it in the sugar like that. And then you place them on the baking sheet. And then take a glass and just flatten them to about a 1/2 inch thick. And I'm just going to continue doing that. Fill the sheet. Like I said, if you found this was quite soft, then I would put the batter in the fridge for a while, because you don't want the cookies, otherwise when the cookies bake, they'll spread too much and lose their shape, and you don't want that. These are a really nice cookie. The outside is quite crisp, and yet the inside is really soft and chewy. And they store very well, 10 days up to 2 weeks. So it'd be a nice cookie during the holidays. You can bake ahead of time. Now these cookies have been around for a long time, since the late 1800s. I suppose they originated in New England. And now they're popular everywhere. Okay. Now you want to bake these for about 8 to 10 minutes, just until the edges of the cookies start to brown. But you don't want, the longer you bake them, the crisper they will become, but you don't want to bake them too long, because you still want the center soft and chewy. So into the oven we go. Okay, our Snickerdoodles are now done. The outsides have just started to brown. The insides are, as you can see, I'll press with this one, it's still soft. Now, as you can see, they've kind of risen quite a bit. Now, they will flatten as they cool, so that's just the way they're supposed to be. These are really good warm from the oven, or they can be covered and stored, like I said, for 10 to 14 days. So until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joyofbaking.com.